Come on in. This is my office. I live in the blandest office in the Capitol. Don't judge it.
What do you mean? This is sick. I haven't seen any other office, so for me, it's sick.
Yeah, that's why. That's why, because you haven't seen anybody else. Everybody else usually has like their artwork, like real art. People have real. I don't have any art.
You have some art?
My team is all proud. They're like, you have an art. You have one picture.
All right, chat,
I got one picture, y'all.
Get to it. We need to send her some art. That's crazy.
So listen, the only piece of art that I have, funny enough, is from Rashida. It's because all the other, squad members.
She was like, I have too much.
No, they all came to my office and they were like, why does it look like a funeral in here?
Can I put my jacket up there?
Yeah, please. Get comfy. Right. So she's the only, they were all like, we're going to give you something. And she's the only one who actually did, so.
Oh, so all the other
come with me, come on.
Congressional Progressive Caucus members didn't get you
They
stuff?
haven't given me their art yet.
What's that about, Greg? Get on it.
Actually, Greg gave me a mug.
Okay, never mind. Greg gave you something.
Greg gave me a mug. I don't know. I'm waiting for Ilhan to give me some. Ilhan has a nice office.
You don't know Omar has a nice office?
She has a beautiful office. She got a balcony. She has nice things.
So there is like a
every office is different. Like very.
Oh, so that's a big.
It's a Hunger Games trying to pick an office.
Oh, see, this is the type of stuff that I think about like the Senate parliamentarian and things of that nature, but like this kind of additional back and forth, I never have considered.
You literally pick a number out of a box. So like orientation,
Can
everybody
you guys
comes.
like transfer for goodies?
You can.
Could you be like, I want your office, but I'll give you something in return?
That feels unethical. I don't think so.
No, they don't do that?
I don't think we can do
that.
People are shaking
bills.
their head.
I just mean
people
like...
are shaking their head now.
No, okay, my bad.
People are shaking their head now. You get your office and you're stuck with it.
Yeah,
you're stuck with it for the Congress.
Okay. Whoa. I thought it was happening. I thought it was like, yes, we're in it this time.
Like I said, this is like... He's trying to get put out.
No, I play too much. And that does end up getting me in trouble sometimes.
No, it's good.
Yeah, they've been...
they're
still hitting the whole, like, 9/11 stuff on Fox News. Sean Hannity was talking about it last night. He's like, Hasan Piker, Mahmoud Khalil, and Jamal Bowman were all there celebrating Zoran's victory. These guys are so scary.
Yeah, you were just with my good brother.
Yeah, they just don't want to see any expression of joy, I think.
No.
But they're kind of not used to that from the Democrats in general. Like, the real grassroots momentum and, like, a real people-backed candidacy.
I'm a serious human being without doing serious things.
Yeah.
And when I'm not, I have a whole bunch of joy. Like, first of all... of all the people who try to stop us from helping people, when we actually win, we should be happy. We should be excited.
Yeah,
I think we did exciting things. I think we did exciting things this week.
Yeah,
I mean, it's been longer than a week, but I think that we have things to be excited about. And your haters are always going to be upset. So personally, I couldn't care less.
Oh no,
couldn't care less what the Fox News say. I couldn't care less.
As long as you have your people covered, as long as you are doing your very best, it doesn't matter.
They want us to be hopeless because that's what authoritarianism needs.
Yes, absolutely.
So they want you to feel like, oh, you can't beat us.
So let's start in the beginning.
All right.
What got you invested in politics? Like, how did your journey start?
My first day I went to law school. It was orientation. I was like, I am never gonna be a lawyer. But I was already there. I already paid, so I was like, I'm gonna stay.
Might as well go through it.
Yeah, I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna finish. I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do it because it was like, you can like litigate one case at a time. It's just like a brother brought in some trumped up charge, and you do that one at a time. But like, who's thinking about the system? I never thought that.
That's crazy.
People tell you this all the time, right?
You were like, I'm going to the top. I'm cutting. I'm just skipping steps.
There's no such thing. Have you met some of my colleagues?
Oh no! I didn't mean it like that.
That's what I mean. Even the joke about it. Like, there are people up in here. You think you skipped a step?
Yeah. Oh no.
Somebody was like, "You have imposter syndrome." I was like, "No, I know my colleagues."
There are people. Yeah, there are people here that should be. I don't even know how they get up the steps in general, both literally and figuratively.
That's a different story. But no, so I was just like, I'm like, okay, so all of these like inequality, like it's cyclical, right? You grow up in a poor neighborhood, you are disadvantaged at every turn. Like I come from the Mon Valley. It's so funny. I don't think people realize this, but I'm from Braddock, right? I'm from Braddock, PA, right? Which is where our hey, that's y'all thing.
Go on.
I'm actually from Broad Out. Like my family's actually from Broad Out, right? That's where my people are from. Yeah. So, we grew up steel mills, all those things. We got some of the worst air quality in the nation. Industry collapses, towns abandoned.
Was your what about your family's background? Were they working in the steel mills?
I had a whole bunch of family working in the steel mills. Yeah.
And that was like there was unions back then.
You know what's interesting about that? Yes. Pittsburgh has always been a union town. We don't just say that for fun. Pittsburgh has always been a union town, and this is the thing that I think gets me in trouble. When we used to, in the early days, just on like this environmental racism stuff, like working on this environmental racism stuff, like reminding people like we have the worst air quality. We worked in these steel mills, and like the mill was not sustaining the community the way the community is sustaining the mill. People were upset when we talked about that, but like I had a license in ways of other people. Yeah, I had family members who worked in the mill, and they were not in the unions because black folks couldn't join the unions until I believe, like, don't quote me, don't be mad at me if I'm completely wrong, but black folk couldn't join those unions until like the 70s.
Yeah.
So like the last generation of my family, who was in the mill, my granddad was in the mills. He actually left the mills and somehow became a teacher.
Oh, wow.
So I think he might have been, I don't know if he was able to be in USW, who I rock with hard. Like I rock with my labor brothers and sisters, but he wasn't the teachers. Yeah. So since then, the whole thing was like, we want better for you. We want you to be in safer jobs. Like we want you it ain't got to be about getting out, but we want the community to be good for us. You shouldn't have to leave your own community. You shouldn't have to get out, right? Like all the things, you go to any other community, we want the same things everybody else want, right?
No, absolutely.
Like I don't want to be gentrified to get a coffee shop.
Yeah.
I would like us to be able to have a grocery store in our community. I'm living in that type of community, right? We don't got a grocery store, poor air quality. You used to go down my street, like you used to go down Braddock Avenue, and you can smell. So for us, rotten eggs. Yeah. So it would smell like rotten eggs. It was like the sulfur trucks. Yeah. So like that's what I grew up around. So I wasn't an expert in like environmental justice or anything, but like I lived it. Yeah. So when I first started to run, honestly, it was actually just like trying to get other people to feel like they can actually do something. Like the system shouldn't be sending us people. We should be sending the system people. Yeah. So I was organizing, like trying school board, local stuff. Like people don't, everybody's always
what was the issue that you find yourself organizing around initially?
Then?
Yeah, back then.
So my high school has gone viral for a number of things.
Okay.
This particular thing, this 1 year, my school went viral, I think 3 separate times for like police officers and like the principal allegedly like beating kids up on camera.
That's insane.
It was on camera.
But it does happen a lot. So school resource officers?
Yeah, but one of the problems, you get school resource officer, but like the principal was kind of like involved.
That's
like
crazy.
In a number of the videos.
He was throwing hands.
A kid had his tooth knocked out of his throat.
By the principal?
Out of his, yeah.
So
allegedly.
Okay. I grew up in Turkey. Like I experienced corporal punishment quite a bit in Turkish schooling.
This was not corporal punishment.
This is like that, but that's beyond that. Like they would do, ear pulling, steel. They would get like a steel ruler.
You can still get paddled in the United States.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like
they just have.
I feel like maybe like 15 states or something.
They just have that as a carve out. They're like, we can't let go of this. This is so good.
It still exists.
It's such a good educational tool.
People don't even know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes kids have bad vibes. You know what I mean? I'm kidding.
Not the kids are low vibrational.
I'm kidding.
I believe the kids are the future.
Do you guys have a iPhone charger, if possible?
You got a new iPhone or the old iPhone?
I have the new one, the USB-C one.
Yep.
If it's
right below you.
Oh, you have it right here.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
that's my seat.
Okay. Oh, this is where you normally.
If I do anything, I'm gonna stay charged.
Yeah, you're just kicking it over here.
Mm-hmm.
You have a Black Panthers jersey.
Yeah, I got that from like the Black Panther Museum.
Oh wow.
Like Huey P. Newton's wife gave it to me. Well, she didn't give it to me because I follow ethics.
Yeah, of course.
I love that thing.
That's such a crazy. That's also kind of a crazy rule for people that don't know. Do you want to explain what that is?
Yeah,
you're not
we can't accept gifts.
You can't accept gifts
We don't accept gifts.
Yeah.
People don't give us things. They don't give me things.
Unless it's a super PAC, in which case you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can go to like
even that's a loophole.
Yeah.
Even that's a loophole. This is why we want to abolish super PACs.
Yes.
Peep the sign. We're trying to abolish super PACs. We want everybody to get on board. I can't proselytize right now. They told me. But yeah, no, this is I think this is one of the biggest issues that we have. Obviously, not just from my own race, from all the races. That people shouldn't be able to just like buy their way into the literal Oval Office like Elon Musk did. Like just
I mean, they're just that's cutting out the middleman in some ways too. They've gotten more confident in their brazen corruption
because they've been stress testing the system for I'm gonna say decades.
Yeah.
But this group specifically, since like 2016, everything they do, every like toe they like step over is trying to figure out will people let us do it.
Yeah.
Will people let us do it? That's why I always say, like, Donald Trump doesn't necessarily get to decide if we have a dictator.
Yeah.
He don't get to decide. Like, it's not like the Congress doesn't get to decide if we have a dictator. Like, you do.
Yeah.
So, like, when they step over line, it's like they're flexing on the American people.
Yeah. No, they're dabbing on us
every time.
Every day.
And every time they get to do it once, and they're like, oh, that worked.
Yeah.
You know what they do? They go and say, all right, we moved the line.
Yeah.
We moved the line. So that's what this whole thing has been. Like, I've always said it was you talk about all day. It's an ongoing insurrection. The insurrection has been ongoing. They have been plotting. They've been planning. They've told us. So even like, I get it. A lot of people are like, I don't really rock with the Dems
with
or
the Project
Rs.
2025 stuff, especially. Like they plotted out.
They wrote it.
And they put it on paper, and they're like, this is what we're gonna do. And then all it takes is for Trump to be like, I don't know what that is. I don't know how to read. And then everyone's like, oh, okay, he said so it's fine. He won't do it. And then
he said he was gonna do it.
Yeah.
They said they were gonna do it. So, honestly, that's why I ran. All of this is a part of why I ran. Right?
Yeah.
I felt like I could see the trajectory of the country and the Democratic Party. I felt like if I can see inequality and I can see like how it functions at the systems level, if I can see people who aren't apathetic to the party, that was one of the reasons why I really ran. Like they kept saying like these people are apathetic, they don't care. I'm like, that's just not even true. People absolutely care. Yeah. Sometimes people are hopeless.
Yeah.
Someday they feel discouraged, or like how many people in communities like mine, like they've seen. The president, Democrats and Republican, they've seen the volleyball game happening forever, and their communities haven't changed.
Yeah.
Things haven't changed in their life.
Their material conditions are only deteriorating year after year.
Absolutely.
And I think that is a major issue. That's like what I address all the time as far as like the sense of entitlement. It seems that some people hold, Democrats in particular, where they're just like, no, you have to vote for us. We're better than the other guy. And like theoretically is true. In theory, harm reduction is correct, right? It's a correct theory. But it's a terrible way to campaign.
It's a bad message.
It's a bad message. It's a terrible way to campaign, and it's been an abject failure over and over again.
I think that's a key point. It's been a failure. I think that multiple things be true. When I used to knock on doors in my really early days, because that's all we did. Like I knocked doors twice a day, every day. So I did a morning shift, I did an afternoon, I did like an evening shift. I'm hitting people for breakfast and dinner. Mm-hmm. Just talking to voters. And same things all the time. Like, you deserve clean air and water, right?
Yeah.
We live in the wealthiest nation on earth. Your kids should go to a good school. You shouldn't be paying, property taxes out the wazoo if your kid still is not getting the education they deserve, right? Just stuff like that every day, every single day. But I talk to a lot of non-voters.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's what makes me a little bit different. I'm not just saying me personally, me and others like us. That I talk to non-voters as much as I talk to voters. I talk to infrequent voters. I talk to folks who have never been registered in their entire life.
Yeah.
I have people in my family, right, who they vote when I say go vote for me. They know me. And sometimes I'm certain they're lying to me. Like sometimes they're like, "Summer, yeah, I voted for you." Sure. Like, okay. They didn't go. What am I do? Right?
Here comes Summer again.
Right.
Asking us to go out and register.
I had to go and drive because I was like, "Girl, I'm gonna drive you to the poll. Like I need this vote." But no, I've talked to these non-voters, and at the end of the day, it is that hopelessness. It's like, well, what's the difference? It doesn't make a difference. And then I talk to your Democratic establishment people, and they're like, well, of course there's a difference. The Supreme Court, right? Roe v. Wade fell because the Senate gets to a point.
Yeah.
That was a real thing that happened, and I think that the disconnect is that. What I think the Democratic establishment does not understand is that, look, there is something about the system that non-voters, marginalized, disenfranchised people, that they understand about the system that these folks don't understand.
Absolutely.
And on the other side, there is something that these Democratic establishment people understand about the system that they're not able to fully grasp and understand too, because they are worried about their basic needs. The key is that it's incumbent on us to go and get votes.
Yeah.
Like, we're the ones who are supposed to say, I understand why you're skeptical. I understand how it can be hard for you to prioritize voting when your material conditions are just getting worse.
Yeah, what's really interesting is...
We stopped doing that.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. And it's like, that's the basic principle of democracy, is that voters are supposed to go out and extract concessions or make demands out of their elected representatives in exchange for a vote. And then you sit on this seat of power to make the popular demand known and try to fight for them. And yet, for some weird reason, we're so far removed from that basic principle that even campaigns like Zoran's or campaigns like yours, but Zoran's one's like in New York, so it's very high profile.
It's a big time.
Yeah. But it's like, it wasn't unique at all. Like, in many ways it was unique because the circumstances are so dire. But what I mean by that is, like, it's not actually that unique to go out, ask a bunch of voters and non-voters, like, what is your major issue?
Actually, do you mean talk to voters?
Yeah, talk to voters, identify some key problems.
I got big theories on why people don't talk to voters.
What? Oh, in here? Oh, I would
not
love
even
to,
just here, right? Just
I would love to get into that, because that's a major gripe that I have.
We'll circle back.
But what I'm saying is, like, it's the most basic thing. You go out and you ask people, like, what's your issue? How can I solve it? And then you identify a couple of those issues, and you keep hitting those issues. And of course, lo and behold, all of them revolve around material inequities and financial struggles, affordability, things of that nature. And you just keep hammering out those points, and you win. Even when you have hundreds of millions of dollars in corporate interests and numerous different advocacy groups.
I'm not going to say even. Together. Let's be real. Zoran had some dollars. He had support. He had help. When a lot of people talk about, oh, why'd you win? Why'd he win? Sometimes because it's a good story. You know, we put the emphasis on the grassroots organizing.
Yeah.
You know, what did he have? 90,000 volunteers? I don't know if that's a real number.
No, he had 50,000.
50,000.
He had 50,000 in the primary and then 104,000 in the general.
That's wild. Let me tell you who ain't getting that many volunteers. Nobody else on God's green earth. Like, not in a district, right? In a non-national campaign.
Well, we're trying to fix that.
Absolutely. But in a non-national campaign, like, that's wild. So we put the emphasis on that because we should. Because proportionally, that's us saying, like, the reason why we're here is because of you, right? People put us here, people care. You know, we connected, real connection. And so sometimes people are like, well, you don't need all that money. But it's like, At the end of the day, when your ops can get out anything, say anything about you, and you can't counteract it, it does hurt. It hurts because now you need more. Like, you need more volunteers to now go. Now you got to counteract the lie. Yeah. So, like, the idea that we don't need money, like, I would love, and I can't wait. It exists. As the future already exists, it already exists that we live in a world post big money in politics. We live in a world post authoritarian. It exists already, and as we build to it, right, we do have to recognize that, like, actually our people do need to have dollars so they can compete. It's not an evil thing.
No, absolutely.
We do need to actually run for office. It's not an evil thing. Yeah. We need to wield power. Power is neutral, right? Power is not inherently good or inherently evil. And there are, like, a few people in history who are like, power is to be wielded. I think when you talk about, like, democracy, if I just flip it on its head a little bit, like, the fundamental thing about democracy is that it's government by the people. Yeah. Which means that our real job is not necessarily like a transactional thing. Mm-hmm. It's actually to be like the candidate in the perfect world. Candidates don't go to the people first. The people.
They are the people.
They are the people.
Exactly.
The people are like, this is our person. This is who we're sending you. Yeah. And because we are a person, like, you represent them, you already know you're embedded. Now you stay with your folks. You stay on the ground.
It's not supposed to be a special class, like,
it's not a special class of people.
Job. Yeah. It's supposed to be, you're a teacher. And then you're representing your community.
You're representing your community. You can be anything. Mm-hmm. And that changes. Well, what's the qualifications for Congress? Yeah. People think that the qualification for Congress is lawyer, business owner. No, it's whatever lived experience you have. You are personal. You have personal expertise on all types of stuff. Yeah. You be convinced that we don't have it.
And I think I would go so far as to say, if you're a regular person experiencing financial struggle, trying to make ends meet, trying to pay for rent, you have the necessary qualities that many people in Congress no longer hold, especially after years and years of being a part of this machine. I've talked to a lot of politicians about this kind of stuff behind closed doors and private meetings and things like that, about, like, and they just want to know how do we message? How do we message to the kids? How do we reach they don't really care as far as like what I try to explain to them, that it's not just about the platforms that you're on. It's about what you're saying, and it's about actually being an earnest defender.
It's about your authenticity.
Yeah.
We don't have a message problem.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, okay, we have a message problem.
We do.
We don't have exclusively a message problem. We have a messenger problem.
Yes.
I've been talking to a lot of my colleagues too. I remember we were going back and forth in like a retreat. And, you know, everybody, you know, after the election, they all bring in the polls. It's like the polls say this, the polls say that. Honestly, I mean, the polls always say this. I'm like, I told y'all that. I'm like, I already told y'all that. But like, so we're doing that. And then we're talking about, and they're like, well, you know what we need to do. I was like, you know, no, we need people. You can say whatever you want to say. You can start cussing online, look cool. You can do all that. If that is you, then do it. But the problem is like, if you ain't never had to struggle to pay the rent, how are you going to relate to somebody who does? And a honest person doesn't have to relate to every single person in their district. You don't.
Yeah.
But again, as the party of working class people, if you can't relate to working class, I had to talk to my colleagues like, yo, there are so many of y'all who generationally have not experienced being of the poor.
Yeah.
I think most of us are working class, right? You don't own anything, you don't trade stocks. You're in a working class. You got to work for your living. You're in a working class. But a lot of people lose those roots. They're not there. That's why they're not talking to non-voters anymore. Yeah. That's why you got all these people who are only listening to consultants and hyper like attentive voters, like those voters who are like, I go to caucus, I go to the DNC.
What the abundance call the groups.
Yeah, they're talking to them all the time.
Yeah.
But they're not talking to real people. And then when they go and you go to the barber shop and you ain't been to the barber shop in years, you don't know what them brothers down there are dealing with in their real life. So how are you gonna relate to it? And that's the problem. Right now when we're talking about, man, we got colleagues who, and this is not a shot. We got folks who have been here for longer than I've been alive. Like actually, they've been here longer than I've been alive, which means they've known various iterations of the Democratic Party, various iterations of the Republican Party, and now they have officially known a different iteration of the country itself. The country that they've known, that we've known, it does not exist anymore. We are in an authoritarian regime. Yeah. And there are too many people who are nostalgic for a time that will never exist again. Yeah. It cannot exist again.
Whenever they say, I want a strong Republican Party, the way things used to be. I'm like, no, I want no Republican Party.
I fell out of my chair. I'm like,
no, I want.
That's like saying I want a responsible plan. What?
I want no opposition. I want every.
I want a better world.
I want every seat to be filled with people who are going to center the working class in their politics, so that we don't have to have this like gridlock, this back and forth, you know, within the current structure that exists. But
I'm baffled.
You know,
I remember that.
It's a very silly way to approach it, and I think like a lot of people see that and they think it's inauthentic as well, because they're like, we're Democrats. If we're Democrats, why the fuck do we want?
Remember when Cuomo, when the question on the debate, on the 2-hour debate they did, and it was like, how much you pay for rent? The debate got you, right? Zoran laughs. He goes, you know, what is it, $2,300?
Yeah.
Cuomo goes, he's stealing from a poor person.
Yeah, but that was crazy.
The number one thing that shows that he's disconnected, he's stealing from a poor person. I don't know no poor people in my life who can spend $2,300. That's not the point that I'm making right now. He then laughs and goes, I pay $7,800. Yeah. Right? You can't relate. You can't relate to people like that.
I felt like he owns his house, I think, right? He was just saying like his daughter's rent or something, I feel like.
Or he's saying his mortgage. You still got to pay something. Whatever it is at the end of the day. I'm just saying like that people are so disconnected from actual struggle that they don't know it when it's in front of them. Like they don't even know how to deal with it, you know? I get people come to it. I mean, the shutdown. Like it's a real thing. Like I think that the fight for healthcare is righteous. I think it's righteous. I think that in an authoritarian regime, I think we gotta stand tall, right? You give them an inch, they'll take them out.
Yeah.
I think the people want us to take the stand. They've been asking them to take the stand. We're doing it. And it also really hurts to see people coming to me, you know, in my real life, you know, who are talking about how hard it is to make ends meet. Yeah. Right? The line at the food bank was already long before the SNAP, you know, cuts. People be struggling. And to have an empathy for that is the key. You don't have to have lived every experience. You really don't.
Yeah.
But like, if you don't have to ever see it, it's like Gaza, right? The biggest movement happened when people had to see the imagery.
Yeah.
We do have to start to question, why do we have so many people here who we have to show pictures to? Yeah. Like, why does a starving mom got to come to you for you to be like, damn, I should do something? right? You know, why's it got to be like that? This is the generational divide we are right now. As people are retiring and the next class of folks are coming in, this is an opportunity. We can actually get people who are responsive to the real needs of real people, or we can keep putting in messengers who aren't credible, who are going to keep begging consultants for how to say it right.
Yeah, so that's actually, that ties into something I want to talk about as far as like the system, right? One of the things that I hear from very seasoned operatives and people who have been around for a very long time is the notion that, like, well, you know, a lot of these guys, they come into Congress and maybe they have like key issues that they care about, but over the years they basically become complacent, or at least like they themselves also lose whatever edge they might have had, because they just go back and forth and there's so much wheeling and dealing with the way that bills are structured, with the way that bills are passed, that they basically they hit neutral. And they just kind of exist. And then all they care about is getting reelected, so they go to donors instead of the actual constituents because of what we just talked about.
It's a bypass.
Because big donors can just go in and dump $1 million into a relatively small TV, like a local TV network, and just hit you with attack ads and genuinely try and tarnish your reputation and make it harder for you to overcome these odds. So a lot of people run from a place of fear. Yeah. How do you push back against that? How do you fight back against that around your colleagues, especially?
You know, I think part of it is acknowledging that it's a very real condition in this place.
Yeah.
You know, I think it doesn't. You know, I think that sometimes when we talk about, you know, someone came in with the fire, and then now it's like, oh, what happened to them? There's a lot of people like, what happened to them? I think that we all like have it in our minds that it's a very like big thing. Like, they got there and a boogeyman literally walked up to them with a suitcase, you know, a suitcase of money. Like, we imagine that as something like this, instead of the fact that it's actually like a small concession every time.
Yeah.
Every time it's a small concession.
Yeah, it just like chips away.
First of all, this place is a soul crusher. It is a soul crusher. So the first thing, even if you're somebody who's running, like, again, we got to focus on the future, not the past. And we can still address the past. But like, to flip the question, like, if I had to like say for somebody who's like, well, I want to start building the government that reflects us and our dreams. You know, the first thing you need to understand is that this place is a soul crusher by nature. Doesn't matter if you want it to be or not. Doesn't matter how strong you are. You got to have a North Star here. We all know. How many people come here because, you know, they want to be famous? It's a very real reason to run. I'm not coming for nobody.
That's crazy.
People who, no, there are many reasons that people come. So you can come because you want to be famous.
Hollywood
Fine.
for ugly people. That's what Andrew Breitbart used to say.
Everybody in Hollywood ain't that great looking either. But men get to be whatever they want in Hollywood. No, but like, no. So you can come for that. You can come because you're like, oh, look, yo, I got an idea. I have a perspective. I want my perspective to be. You can come for that. You can come, you know, whatever reason you come, you need to have a North Star. Like, what is the reason that when this shit gets hard, like when it's the worst, you know, what is the thing that's going to get you up in the next day? And if you have to have that center, because again, it's everything. It's not always going to be the first thing. The first thing is going to be like, hey, can you look? Just take this vote, right?
Yeah.
This vote is not even that bad. It is going to protect you. I remember when I first got in the State House. We run every 2 years. Remember, I first got in the State House. We're doing first day in judiciary. We're doing a big bill. Like constitutional amendment. It's been like traveling across the country, state by state by state. And every time someone votes no on it, they like run multi-million-dollar ads on these people. So the first thing that somebody told me, they were like, yo, Summer, what about the ad? Like, they weren't being disingenuous to me. They weren't trying to scare me. They were telling me the reality. Like, what about the ad? It's the reality that we have to think about those things. Yeah. Now, you choose how you react to that. You know the ad can come. You know the ad might exist. Is it more important that you specifically make it, or is it more important that the legacy exists of being bold, of being of representing this interest? That's where people are, that's where they get you. Because it's easy, you want to be comfortable. I have vowed to not necessarily be comfortable here. Because the moment you kind of get comfortable, you got to give up on something. You got to give up something. I want to be comfortable here. Yeah, and I get why people want to be comfortable. I think it's wrong, but I get it.
Yeah, and then that slowly but surely chips away, and then it's already so difficult to make changes in the positive direction that people just kind of give up.
And then they see the woman and Dylan.
But that favors the right flank.
Every time.
Every time. It's much easier to destroy. It's much more difficult to build. And the left flank party in this country is supposed to, in every country really, is supposed to be the party that is building towards, expanding social safety nets, building housing, building better public transit, these sorts of things. And I do feel like Democrats have a real messaging problem on that front, because they constantly find themselves in a position where they're telling people, no, you don't understand how this works, sweetie. Better things are not possible. Meanwhile, on the other side,
that's a real message.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
real message.
That is like Hillary Clinton famously in 2016 against Bernie Sanders said that Medicare for all was like demanding a unicorn. You know, like, oh, what's next? We're going to give people, I could just run around saying I'm going to offer people unicorns, and it's like, that's insane to just be that cynical. Is crazy.
It's also a very low opinion of the electorate. Just because we're not somewhere, it's like the opinion that like we're somewhere now, we'll never be able to make it out of that.
Yeah, and I think the sinister reason as to why she's saying that, and many congresspersons also have a similar attitude, especially on this issue, is because it is such a massive, such an expensive industry that has a lot of corporate donors, that is constantly in these rooms, maybe not this one, obviously, but in these sorts of rooms, and they are able to say, do not take a stand on this issue that would actually harm our profit centers, our profit margins, or even abolish it in its entirety.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
we're definitely slaves to money in politics.
Yeah.
We're slaves to it. All over the country, you ask about, kids getting mowed down by assault rifles.
Yeah.
All over the country, people say, no, we do not think that should happen. And yet, you still get politicians who cannot move on that. Why is that?
So what you're suggesting is door control. we got to get better locks on the doors, right? That's what we moved on.
No,
I
think the first thing that the Democratic Party got to do is we got to decide who we want to be.
Yeah.
So we're talking about all of this, and I think fundamentally, before we move anywhere else, we got to decide who we want to be.
So that's actually exactly what I want to ask you. What do you think, if you were to go with like 5 key positions that you stand for, what would those top 5 priorities be? I know I'm putting you on the spot here, but like, let's say you're running, right? Like, what are the 5 key things that you're going to hit?
I think I put things in the buckets. There are always justice-minded buckets, right? Affordability is clear, right? People can't afford things. But within affordability, housing. I believe that everybody should have a home in the community that they call home that they can afford. And I believe that they should be appropriate, right? There shouldn't be slums, like we're in the wealthiest nation on earth.
Yeah.
It should be healthcare. Nobody should go into medical debt. People should not die of curable diseases, right? Everybody should have healthcare in this country. It's education. Everybody has a right to a quality education, irrespective of your zip code.
Yeah.
I think it's environmental justice, that you should be able to breathe clean air and clean water. It's free. It's a freedom from your civil liberties being eroded.
Yeah.
So whether that be, prison reform, systemic reform for criminal legal reform, ICE, all of those things, we need a serious change in the way that we think about how we are, dealing with our citizens, with people. So I think like, y'all don't quote me, like, I'm not saying that that's my exact 5, I was put on the spot. But those are the things that I think about every day.
Yeah.
Like, people should be able to navigate our society without going broke every single day. Their government should not be oppressing them.
Yeah. Do you feel like people are, especially in this day and age, like, do you feel like the average person kind of just sees everything that's going on, but they're like, what can I do about it? And they just like go about their daily lives rather than be like more active and more, instead of being reactive, more proactive in general?
Yes.
How do we get people to mobilize at a time like this when they're too busy trying to make ends meet?
I think that takes a flipping of the head. I think that is a product of the system itself. It's a very like top-down system.
Yeah,
like
it's what we talked about. People have lost hope.
Yeah,
like we've killed
or some
hope.
people never had it in the first place.
Yeah,
right, because the system is like we are cogs, and the wheel keeps on turning. I think people. It's that focus on what is a real democracy. When people say, "Oh, what are Democrats going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do?" Early days after January 20th, that's what we heard a lot of, right? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? But it started to shift, and people started to say, What can I do?
Yeah. But that was also partially because, like, the Democrats kind of didn't say anything. They were like,
they didn't say anything, but when you think about it logically, I say this all the time. I'm going to use the same line all the time. You tell me, I want to put a check on Donald Trump's power.
Yeah.
I introduce a bill. Which of those bills are going to be brought to the House floor by a Mike Johnson or Kevin McCarthy or whoever they put in our day? Which one is he going to bring up that's going to get a vote, that's going to get to 218 of his members? And that's going to then go over to the Senate. That's then Thune's going to bring up to the House floor or to the Senate floor. That's going to get, a majority plus, because it's the Senate, filibuster-proof majority, that they're going to then vote on. That's then going to go to Donald Trump, and he's going to sign.
Yeah.
This is the lesson that we needed to learn before the authoritarian regime. That at the end of the day, it is still the final fail-safe in a democracy. It is the people, which is why this is where I think one of the biggest failures of the Democratic Party falls. Right? We are so arrogant too often, and like this idea that we did it the right way. This is the only way to do it. Voting is the only way to do it. Running is the only way to do it, and everything else is a problem. Right?
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter, the anti-genocide encampments and movement, all of those things have been met with shame by people in leadership. And that's not just this generation, that's generation after generation after generation. Yeah. The anti-apartheid movement, right, in the 80s and the 90s, met with shame, right? The sit-ins, Dr. King died unpopular.
Yeah.
Right? And every generation forgets the lesson. And the Democratic Party does it too. Right? So we're like, there's a right way to protest. There's a right way to do that. Well, now, guess what? We don't have any lever of government.
Yeah.
So I think what real leadership is looking like right now, that the people we're really wanting is like, okay, so what can we all collectively do? Because people have for too long been like, my job is to vote and y'all do this.
Yeah.
But that's not how democracy is supposed to work. You're not supposed to vote and just vote.
No, they have to be more active. Like, politicians have to also, like...
We have to encourage your activity.
Congressional representatives should not only encourage it, but they should also be out there on the streets. And that is actually a real demand that a lot of voters are making as well. But what you actually talked about with respect to BLM and also Gaza is so is so perfectly representative of the nihilism that people experience. Because, like, I'm 34 years old. People around my age and younger, during the COVID lockdowns and in the aftermath of George Floyd, took to the streets and they protested.
I was there.
They wanted to, we wanted to let our voices be heard, and we wanted some serious changes to take place. And of course, that wasn't going to come under the Trump administration. So then, what did people do? They voted for Joe Biden. A lot of people said, I don't really want this. He's old. He's not very inspirational, but it doesn't matter. We're still going to go vote because we want to get this guy out of office. So they did their civic duty.
They did.
And they got nothing in exchange for that. So the lesson there was,
there's nothing you can do.
You do everything you want. You can do everything. You can protest. You can go out and vote. And at the end of the day, nothing will change.
That's not everything.
We will not hear your demands.
That's not everything. I think that's the lesson right now, right? But I'm saying because I'm saying that in a positive way.
Yeah, I know, but I mean like everything within the confines of like what you learn in liberal democracy. The liberal education is like you protest and you do your civic duty.
That's still not true though.
And
that's still actually not true.
What would you say is like not being pulled as far as levers of power?
Your money and your labor. Your money and your labor are the real things that you're supposed to be able to do something with. Like, you can go out and you can take to the streets, but that's supposed to be coupled with something.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm going to take to the streets and I'm like, I don't think that Trump should be in power, you can't get Trump because he's already the president. What you have to do is you have to target everything around it. So, like, why are we giving our money to this, that, and the fourth oligarch? That actually takes sacrifice. The reason why we are where we are is because we've had a country that has afforded us a comfort level that has not made us have to really do things that other countries have. We have examples around the world of people who have had to exercise discipline, sacrifice, and real true solidarity. We still don't know what solidarity looks like. Like, our labor movement is fighting each other, right? We got the building trades fighting the service industry unions, fighting the federal unions, right? Within movement, we got black working class folks, who feel like they're not heard by white working class folks, right? We actually don't know what solidarity in practice looks like. There are many things that we need to be working on right now that has nothing to do, or not, I'm gonna say nothing, but very little to do with what your government is doing.
Yeah.
I always say you come correct too, but we all have a role to play here. So when I think about real sacrifice right now against an authoritarian regime, I want to hear like, Black folk, for instance, were like, yo, they're going to cut DEI from Target. We're not going to go to Target anymore. And you know what we have to hear every day? Boycotting doesn't work.
Yeah.
What does it matter? It doesn't matter because I'm one person. The rugged individualism has neutered us.
Yeah.
It has made us forget where our real power is. It's we the people, not I the person.
Yeah.
Right?
Boycotts do have to be targeted and directional and very issue specific and strategic. And BDS for Palestine has been fairly effective in this regard. Obviously, there's a long way to go there.
And it comes with other things. It comes with your messaging.
Yeah.
It comes with building the narrative. It comes with putting pressure on your elected officials.
Yeah.
Then you see them as tools. Each thing is one tool. It's not the only one.
But you're absolutely right. Obviously, labor militancy has been completely destroyed in this country. Labor unions are somewhat corporate captured, or barely even exercise their biggest leverage of power, which is work stoppages, when it comes to even contract renegotiations usually. And sometimes it's literally illegal to do so.
Because it feels like a nuclear, sometimes it's illegal.
Yeah.
Sometimes it feels like a nuclear option.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes it's like, am I going to step out on a limb and is anybody going to catch me? In Pittsburgh, we actually have the longest strike in the nation right now. We have the longest running strike. They're at 3 years, our Post-Gazette workers. And for 3 years, they've been on the picket line. And one after another, folks gab, they do what they do. But also, politicians started to real quietly start to talk, to the newspaper. They started to real quietly, some of them might not be as explicit. I've seen many Democrats cross the picket line there. One Democrat crossed a state line and then a picket line to talk mess on me in the Scab newspaper, right?
That's
so like
crazy.
when we think about the discipline there, so they've been doing this for 3 years. How do you think they feel? Like they feel like, where's the rest of the labor? And it's like the rest of the labor also is like, oh, we didn't mean to like abandon you. And some of them aren't actually, we're not even actively abandoning you. It's just that people are trying to figure out how do they exert power and where are the appropriate places to exert power. And we all have to collectively do better at that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
So they're like, if I do this workshop, is anybody gonna come with me?
Yeah.
We gotta talk about how do we get to a society where people are not sure if someone's gonna come with them?
Yeah, I mean it's rugged individualism. It's the worst poison for solidarity, and unfortunately Americans do have that very selfish tendency, or it's not even like it's selfish in the short term, but it's actually silly in the long term. It's like it's self-defeating in the long term because you're not going to have anyone else that comes for you if you don't show up for them. And I mean I try to.
Part of that is understanding each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes we skip that. It's actually uncomfortable to talk across like communities. It's like, oh, this community has an experience with my community. We have a history. We'll never address it. Yeah. Because that makes us a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah. And I think that's the same with labor. I think that's the same with politics. Yeah. This is a time that's calling for that. It's calling for introspection from all of us. We can all point our fingers right now. After November, whatever that date was, all of us could have learned a lesson. Yeah. The left, the middle, we all had a lesson. It's easier though to say, did you learn your lesson? So that's what the establishment does. They're like, the left didn't learn. What did they get out of it?
Yeah, there's a lot of talking over one another in these sorts of situations. But I do think there's a sinister reason for it. Like it's not like when I see Democratic politicians run to CNN in the aftermath of this like very expected defeat, right? Because this was being signaled. I mean, if I can see it, and I'm a random idiot on Twitch, then I think like much more intelligent people can probably comprehend it, especially when they're a part of the machine, and yet for some reason they're the most oblivious. But they immediately after Trump's second victory, they ran to CNN to be like, oh, why did we lose? Because we were too pro-trans or too pro-this or too pro-social justice.
I also think that's a psyop.
Yeah, I could not.
I think that this is a psyop. I think that some of them were going there as plants.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it because I'm like, do we see the same campaign? Like, Myers didn't say anything.
No, they don't want. Those are the type of people who didn't want us to be able to do like the deep actual analyses. Yeah, they were very intentional.
They immediately they threw that grenade on there so that everybody talks about that.
Yep. And instead of being like, oh man, maybe the campaign shouldn't have like kicked Muslims out of events.
Yeah.
Maybe when we're talking about like the black community, you know, we should say that it's not just middle class black folks. We actually have to go and fight for poor, working class, disenfranchised black folks.
Or even the moment where it was like, well, there's an over reliance, I think, on black turnout in general, and I think like.
But it's also a superficial one.
Yes, and I think that's so. Oof, I have so many opinions on that, but I think it's like, it's getting to a point where. I've asked this to some other folks as well. I want to hear your perspective on this. Do you feel like younger generations of black men especially are not like actually leaving the Democratic Party in droves in the way that like people present it, because that's also very weird and racist when, you know, Barack Obama comes out and it's like, oh, well, I guess you guys are a little misogynistic. Like, I thought that was like crazy to say because at the end of the day,
I think people have a right to be wrong.
Well,
I think that was wrong, right?
Yeah,
had a right to be wrong.
Black people still overwhelmingly like. It's crazy to me when we're looking at like black people and how much they deviate away from the Democratic Party when the margins of deviation are so minuscule in comparison to like the Hispanic voting bloc or the white voting bloc in general, which is always swinging in the direction of Trump.
I think that fundamentally a lot of people don't understand the black community.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Which means that even a small deviation, they're like, yo, oh my God. Because what people do fundamentally understand is that black folks, and at large, we're not talking about individuals.
Yeah.
As a community, you're not going to see us flocking to Republicans because
Yeah.
Republicans are more inclined to like burn a cross in our yard,
Yeah.
right? Like I remember I served with a colleague in the state house, and you know, the person was like retiring. I'm like clapping politely. Sometimes I'm like, don't clap for him. He would burn a cross on your yard. This a white person said this to me. I was stunned. I was like, damn, I've never been the same. So now I look around and I don't clap for people anymore because I'm not sure if I'm clapping for like my bebop. But like things like that. People don't give black people the benefit of being politically whole people.
Yeah.
That yes, the reason why we won't go there is because racism is a real red line. And I don't mean like, I ain't saying that liberals can't be racist. I'm saying that there are different types of racism.
Yeah.
There is the, I don't believe that you should not be in chains type of racism.
Yeah.
And then there's, and then there's all these other biases, that part. But when you really get down to it, yes, black people are reliable, we vote, we've been burned. Yeah. We're a community that has been burned politically. We're a community that has been both neglected and over-relied on in many ways. And sometimes, yeah, we are more likely to say in politics, like if I can think about the long term, like if for me, like I was like, if Trump is elected, this is going to be a dictatorship.
Yeah.
Like I recognize that my people will be better off without him. And we have not had the privilege of not being able to make that decision.
Yeah.
But then I think that some people don't understand that, yeah, there are actually black folks who feel like they're not, I think that of swing voters, right?
Yeah.
A swing voter who is not a swing from Democrat to Republican, but a swing from Democrat to no vote.
Exactly. So that's what I wanted to talk about.
And we don't get the resources that swing voters get.
Yeah. I think what's really interesting, or at least what I've tried to identify about this issue, is that like I feel like there's less participation in younger generations in general. And I think even with like the most reliable demographic of voters being black women for the Democratic Party, the reason why there is like this generational gap almost in terms of like non-participation is because that's the last time that I think black people can see the Democrats like actually put their flag and have stakes in the game to do something for black people is like the civil rights movement. And I think since then, like the further you move away from that, the less I think like younger.
No, I think it's more that we are doing something for the country than the country doing something for us.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the pain points for young folks. I think the Democratic Party, we abandoned them.
Yeah.
We've abandoned young people.
Yes.
I'm gonna just say, we have abandoned young people.
Yeah.
We left them vulnerable. I can't tell you, like the first time I ran, and I'm running against a 20-year incumbent in the State House. And we're looking at like, okay, well, how do people cut turf? Like, who do you knock doors? Like, how do you decide what doors you knock? How do you decide who you send a mailer to, right? Those are all real big considerations that a terrible consultant.
You have a finite amount of time, you have limited resources.
Finite amount of money, and you're spending all your money on a trash consultant who is really just thinking about their own paycheck. They're not even giving you good information. We ain't go that way. We were like, okay, well, I'm black. The last time that black voters came out en masse was for Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. So when we're cutting the universe, instead of being like, Democrats love the term super voter, right? our universe is always of super voters, right? So I'm going to give a mailer to the people who have voted in 4 primaries in a row. Those are the only people who are going to be targeted for digital ads. Those are the only people who are going to be targeted for door knocks, if they even door knock, leaving people. So then we blame the people who we didn't even go and ask to vote for us for not voting. We do that with young people. So when we ran the first time, we put on anybody who was a new voter who was 18, because I was younger then, right? We put young people in our universe.
You're still young.
For this, please. we put all the young folks. If you're 18, 24, you're on the list automatically. We put black folks who voted. If you voted for Barack Obama, you're on the list. And just by doing that, by knocking on those doors, talking to young people, talking to non-voters, I talked to people who had not voted in a primary in forever. But I didn't blame why didn't you vote in your primaries?
Yeah.
Why would you? My 20-year incumbent didn't even have an opponent. For 8 of those years, for like the last 8 years. So what does it matter if they vote? I didn't go in there with those preconceived notions, but we knocked. We double turnout. I think that sometimes there are people, Democrats got 3 masters. You know how sometimes I said you can't serve 2 masters?
Yeah.
We're trying to serve 3 masters at once, right? Are we going to be the party of working class people, or are we going to be the party of corporations? And are we going to be the party of democracy, or are we going to be the party of incumbency? Yeah. You can't do both. And the enemy of incumbency sometimes is an educated electorate. The more people you talk to, the more likely they are to be like, shit, I don't like that. So now they've grown a fear of talking to people. So now we got all these young people who we were like, oh, they're flaky. You know how hard it is to get an on-campus organizing done? Like, we're like, hey, can we get some money to talk to our college kids? And they're like, that's not a reliable source. They don't vote. So we're just going to leave it.
This is the inside baseball I wanted to hear, because this is like I see it. I mean, I go to campuses, and these are some of the most primed potential voters.
Yeah, but it also takes a little bit of expertise. You got to know how to talk to people.
Yeah,
you can't be the person who's just like, vote no matter how. Yeah. And then when they say, nah, I ain't voting, now you snapping on them. No, you actually got to it's a surgery.
Exactly.
Right, it's surgery.
And that is it's just met with revulsion and disdain. People are like, why the fuck would I do that? This is crazy. Especially if they had participated and voted and then they didn't see anything in return
and
for that.
And then those volunteers, their mind are blown, and they're like, oh my God, why don't you see the system the way I do? Comfortable, liberal, wealthy person. Because if you got time to volunteer, you probably got a couple dollars, right? You live in a whole different existence, and you don't understand why this disenfranchised young person maybe doesn't see the system the way you do. So if you are not ready to take the time to actually explore their interests, explore their perspectives and worldviews, and then help them to connect the dots, then you're not the best person to go out. And I don't mean that just on those young people's doors or on that campus. You also shouldn't be out on our super voter doors, because we're trying to make believers of everybody. We're trying to make everybody get on the same program. It's like, you know how people are like, poor, kids of color deserve teachers of color. I'm like, white people deserve teachers of color. We should all have, cool diversity, whatever. I don't think that they should be on any doors. People need to be trained better. But to get them to go there. So now we're talking about, why is Turning Point? Why are these kids getting red pilled? Yeah. Well, you left them in the internet with no direction, no instruction, and they're finding out a different world by themselves, because the internet is a world, and they're navigating that world by themselves. Well, you know who went into that world? The right wing.
Yeah. And they also have a shit ton of money back in it too.
Big money.
Because that's the other side of the story.
Because they invested though. Call it an investment.
Yeah.
We got money on the Democratic side.
Yeah. I don't know what they're spending it on, to be honest.
It's not down ballot.
Yeah.
It wasn't historically judges.
Yeah. It's just that you're absolutely right. There is this media infrastructure that they've designed. They also pluck talent. Like Charlie Kirk himself, he became a nationally relevant figure because he wrote an essay in high school for his high school newspaper about some hypothetical black woman that took his slot at West Point, which is bullshit. It wasn't even, he just made it up, right? But they were like, that's exactly the kind of young racist mind that we need. and they, very quickly, that essay was on Breitbart, and then a week later he was on Fox News.
Again, incumbency versus the future.
Yeah.
How are we going to invest in a 90-year-old at the same time that we're investing in a charismatic 18-year-old?
Yeah.
We're still wagging our finger at the charismatic 18-year-old. I have met brilliant kids, brilliant young people. They're far more worldly. I'm not even just saying it to blow smoke. Some of them I'm like, damn, how'd you get over there? I'm like, damn, because listen, Gen Z is voting for Republicans. We didn't think that, we didn't think it was possible. We got there because we didn't think it was possible, so we left them vulnerable. We left young people vulnerable.
Yeah.
We left them vulnerable to disinformation. We left them vulnerable to people who came. Like, sometimes people just want to know that someone cares. Like, you ain't never knocked on my door, so you must not care about me.
Yeah.
You've not come to my college campus, so you must not care.
And also, even from a top line issue, like, if you're not speaking to any of their problems,
anything they care about,
or
in the world that they know,
or any time you do speak on issues, it's like incremental, or like going back to Kamala. It's not. What do you think is what?
Let me tell you.
Yeah, going back to Kamala Harris, like there is this unprecedented affordability crisis taking place. Americans experienced negative real wage growth for a year and a half under the Biden administration. That's gonna people are gonna punish you for that, like no matter what, right? They experience that. They're gonna be like, oh, I am seeing that this is the administration that's responsible for it.
They've seen capitalism not work for them.
Yeah. The alternative to that is it cannot be, we're going to give you $50,000 in tax credits if you start up a small business. Because that's not a solution.
It's not a systemic one.
Yeah, and it's also...
That's a Band-Aid.
But not only is it a Band-Aid, but it's also not an all-encompassing policy vision. Like there are so many, like people keep forgetting that we've diluted class in our political culture so much that people forget that like the working class is the overwhelming majority of voters.
Yes.
It's not corporate interests.
Indisputably.
It's not people that are, there's a lot of small business owners, sure, but like many of them are still owned and operated, so they're still working to a certain degree. Like, and they still.
If your paycheck cuts off.
Yeah.
and you have no more money source, you are a working class American.
Yes, exactly.
Welcome.
Unless you're making more money from capital accumulation, where your money is making the money for you, you're still technically
working class American.
Yes, you're on the working class side, and you have working class needs. Same with renting versus home ownership. There is a higher percentage of home ownership than most Americans would assume. For sure. Obviously, that's different in big cities and whatnot. But still, by and large, because of our home ownership rates are so abysmally low in comparison to other nations, it's around, I think, 40%. In the state of California, it's like 44%. It's higher than you would think, but again, that means that 66%.
The real problem is that 6 people own the rest of it.
Or 56%, sorry. Yeah, but again, exactly. 56% of people are renting though. So you have to have a message that focuses on their issues. And we never do that. We never talk about like lowering the cost of rent.
I'm just not gonna say never, because also there are tons of people who talk about this all the time. They don't always get famous. Like, God bless, the attention that Zohran Mamdani got. Yeah. But like, he ain't the only brother who's been talking about affordability. He's not the only person. For sure. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's like, that's the other thing, right? Our media focuses on what it focuses on and who it focuses on. Yeah. And the fact that there are people who are talking common sense all over the place and are not getting any attention. There are better messengers than the people who are getting getting attention in this attention economy, right? But we care about historic blue checks, and not even like the now. I'm talking about from Twitter, blue checks. We care about people's clout. We care about those things, and not necessarily the message. So what we then think is like, well, they're feeding me this over and over. That means that nobody's talking about it. There are people in the Democratic Party who are talking about common sense solutions every single day. And yes, and there are a whole bunch more who are in the way. And there are some who are in the way. Yeah. The battle that's happening, the tension that's happening right now is a good tension. Yeah. I think it's important that we go through it. I think it's important that we make our case. Mm-hmm. That we help them to understand that our viewpoint is not a us versus them. That's the other thing. I'm gonna beg people. This is my second time saying this today. I am begging people to stop looking at the political world in this linear, that everything is right, left, center. Yeah. Right? That's just not how people organize their politics, not how people organize their real lives. And we are ascribing it to them. We're leaving so many people who don't feel like they fit anywhere. That everybody fits in a bucket, and there's a prescribed message. Like, there's a transcript for this bucket. And it's like, oh, I'm talking to this person. What's the pre-approved message for that person? Like, we're treating people like that. Instead of being like, these people are holistically. It is not left versus right. It is top versus bottom. When we are able to kind of like transfer it over to that, I think we will have a better recipe for how do we now go back out into the world and get people who we have left behind.
How do you think the Democrats change their branding?
We had to change the guard.
Yeah, because like right now, the reality of the matter is, if you ask an average person, their attitude is like, politics doesn't work for me. I don't know why I should vote for either party over one party over the other. And the way that people define the Democratic Party, unfortunately, is by whatever the Republicans say about them.
Yeah.
And I think a big part of the reason why, like even the Kamala Harris wants to do transgender surgeries, like bottom surgeries to Guatemalan migrants at immigrant detention facilities, like that's not a key policy of the Democratic Party at all. And it's ironically something that even the Republicans have also done as well, because it's just like so marginal and it's just basic human rights. But the reason why the reason why they made it so prescient and so front-facing is because there weren't other things that she was fighting for that people could associate with the campaign.
Part of that, but mostly, we continue to give a huge pass to the media.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
The idea that the media does not have a responsibility, again, the cornerstone of a democracy is education.
Yes.
And if the media is not there to educate people on what's real, then we don't have a good democracy.
I mean, they're doing it right now with the Venezuela stuff.
They've been doing it for a really long time.
They do. I mean, yeah, they do it all the time. I know. This is my main gripe.
And that is also just the treatment of Democrats versus Republicans in the media. I think that the media they understand how they operate in a democracy. Mm-hmm. Theoretically, they do not know how they operate in a failing democracy. And we are in a failing democracy right now.
Yeah.
Which means that their role has to be different. The ability to fact check, the ability to get and disseminate good information in a world of disinformation. Some media, I ain't saying all, some media has decided that that's not their responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
That especially in this money and politics era, that it's the candidate's job to get their own message out.
Yeah.
So how often, if there's not a big contested race, does nobody know who the candidate is at all? And we blame the voter. Like, hey, voter, how come you don't know who those justices are running for the court of common pleas? All right, like, why don't you know this? I'm like, well, they don't have a website. There's no listing anywhere. Where are the organizations that have a responsibility to get people information? And how do we localize that? Like, we can decentralize it to the extent, but how do we localize that? How do we invest in it? There are people who are vulnerable to disinformation because we don't have institutions that are trustworthy.
Yeah.
And the media plays into that. Like, a Republican says something, and the media will run that ad nauseum all day, every day. And then the left, the broader left, will then be like, Democrats, why aren't you proving that you aren't doing this, that, and the fourth, right? So there's going to be less grace. We talked about it, right? There's going to be less grace for Democrats. Again, if they buckled next week, no one's going to think that it's because they actually cared about people and that they couldn't take seeing people suffer anymore. They're going to blame Democrats for buckling, not Republicans for literally being cruel, not Republicans for hating them.
But again, that also, you're right. That's a structural hurdle that will always exist.
But it doesn't have to always exist.
I think
that's the thing we got to change. How do we change the Democrats' brand? That's one of the things.
With the way that the system is designed, like if you are trying to do right by people, you're always going to have that structural hurdle because, like I said,
so then we're asking for pain.
It's much easier, but that's why you need real believers that are real fighters, so that they can actually white knuckle through it and grit their teeth.
The day we got 435 fighters in Congress, that is a unicorn. But I get what you're saying.
But that's what it is. It's kind of like, it's the same thing as like when people are like, oh well, this candidate, like one of the arguments is always like Kamala Harris lost because she's a black woman, right? And there's truth to that, of course. White supremacy is a major hurdle to overcome. But the way I always try to explain to people is like, that's just a constant. Like. Yeah.
You got to account for it. You got to keep it pushing.
That's just a constant. It's just a hurdle you have to clear. So that means your threshold is going to be a lot higher. But you can still clear it with good messaging and messaging discipline and like being a real fighter and being earnest.
Yeah, rural organizing, rural investments.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that we've talked piecemeal about all of the different things that the Democratic Party can do.
Yeah.
Should be doing. And again, going back to deciding who it is, what is the thing that is keeping the Democratic Party from investing in young voters, in marginalized voters? and frequent voters? Why do we focus so heavily on swing voters in the heartland? Like why do we invest in those tropes that don't serve us anymore? Right? Yeah. What is the thing? I think it's consultancy culture. I think it's again that fear of what happens when the system no longer revolves around us as incumbents, but is instead actually fair. What happens when the game is unrigged?
I also do think it's partially because of is corporate interest, right? Because like the way that you target the disenfranchised, like the historically disenfranchised low propensity voters, is either by having a Trump-style candidacy, which favors right-wing reactionary sentiment. That's the reality. Like culture wars.
That one will never work for anybody who have morals.
Well, but the thing is, like, Democrats need to understand, like, they can't win the culture war because the culture war was designed as a wedge issue, designed by the right, so that they can distract people with these different policy positions that are ultimately very harmful for massive swaths of society. But that's not a battle that you can fight. So that's why I always say you have to like bring it back to class, bring it back to affordability, bring it back to material realities, because that is the actual undefeated method.
And I think part of it also is bringing it back to the truth.
Yeah.
We can't be out here talking about we need a strong Republican Party and then also go and make the case that people shouldn't be voting for Republicans anymore.
Or saying Trump is, I think, going to be very authoritarian or a fascist, and then just like have no issues with him. Like, you know,
people looked at that and they were like, man, your urgency is not matching your words.
Yes, exactly. If you think that this is like if you think that this is an ever-present threat to American democracy or what remains of it, right? And I did. Then you can't be running around with like Liz Cheney. Like you can't be running around with Liz Cheney.
I felt like the stakes were so high that we had to run a perfect race. And that brings us back to like your first question to me was like, well, how did you win and other people didn't?
Yeah.
Like, I know that we have a responsibility to, as much as we can, run a perfect race. No one can be perfect.
Yeah.
No elected official will be perfect because you're not perfect.
Yeah.
It is human nature that we can't be.
Yeah.
But I know that we have to try. Like we have to try to do things right. Like I've never missed a vote.
Yeah,
right?
And you also have to be more perfect than
the other side.
You have to be more perfect than your Republican
I'm a progressive.
colleagues.
I gotta be.
And you have to be more perfect than your centrist colleagues.
Your institutionalists.
Yeah.
I can't move the way institutionalists move in this place, right?
But there's also but then it goes back to the media where like they do have so much grace for whichever the right wing flank is, whether it's a race between a left flank candidate and a centrist, or whether it be a centrist Democrat and a right wing.
It's like subliminal messaging.
Yeah.
Like they'll ask two questions. I literally just watched this debate. We were just driving down here. Watched the debate between Zoran and Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
And like the moderators, I don't think that they even understand sometimes like the implicit biases in the way they talk to us.
I know.
Right? The way that they talk to us.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, but how you gonna pay for it? How you gonna pay for it? How you gonna pay for it? We have a higher standard to clear every time.
They don't even ask that to Cuomo for when he says like, oh, we're gonna get 5,000 cops. Like they asked them one time. Where are you getting them and where are you paying for me? Never, one time. So it was like when I was running, when I come on day one, we got to come with clear understanding of policy. Yeah.
Right? Because you speak well. Like you're an orator, right? You're passionate. You're an organizer. So now you got to prove that you could be a policy wonk. We have to prove that we can be a uniter, not a divider. We got to prove our loyalty. But then you get other people who I ain't gonna say no names, but they ran statewide multiple times and never had to ever talk about any policy at all.
Yeah. Or their position is...
how do we decide who gets to talk about policy
or their position in the party infrastructure is literally to be the rotating villain.
And now people are wondering why they didn't know who that person was. It's like, wait, did we just not know it? I'm like, I don't know. Well, go back to the campaign. What do you actually remember about people?
Okay, well...
I ain't talking about nobody specific. I'm talking in general.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, if you're talking about one specific person.
One person. No, I'm talking about multiple people.
If you were talking about one specific person, there are some people in this room that... If you're talking about one
specific person, you can guess.
Some specific people, maybe in this room as well, were like, oh, let's overlook some of their negative qualities because maybe they're going to be a part of this left flank, and then that didn't happen. Anyway, whatever.
Hey, we all have our kinks. Right? The left have kinks just like the center does.
Yeah. There is, but as far as like this imbalance, it is always there. It's ever present. It's one of the most annoying things. It's just like if you are the person that says better things are possible, you automatically are met with cynicism. Mm-hmm. Like you're met with cynicism by the public in general as well, and you're met with the very same cynicism from the instruments of media. where they're just like, what do you mean better things are possible? There's something wrong here. You're supposed to tell me everything sucks. Or you can only be like, directionally, you can have like these radical agenda items as long as it's on the right wing direction. And as long as it's like, as long as the targets are vulnerable populations, marginalized communities, like, undocumented immigrants, like defenseless, people that are left defenseless or left to be defended by, regular folk. And it's slanted in that direction.
And it just seeps into people. Yeah. I remember when my grandma was having a little house party for me. I was the early candidate, so she just brought her friends. It was super cute. And all her little friends, they politically connected. As old black ladies go. Love them. And we were talking about Bernie, because I was like, I don't know, we're talking about, they're like, I don't believe, he's selling this, that, and the fourth. It wasn't all of them, but a couple of them. Yeah, he's selling this, that, and the fourth. This is my family, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, do y'all know how left-wing I am? And then, so it came back to, Medicare for all, because remember, in the election, every time he went to a debate, it was always like, how are you going to pay for Medicare for all? How are you going to pay for Medicare for all? Every time. And what that does, it just, programs people to think about it. So now we ask it. So now I got my black elders, my aunties and uncles, asking me, how's he going to pay for Medicare for all? I was like, you already have Medicare.
Yeah, that's true.
You already have Medicare.
That's the craziest thing, because it's always people that already have Medicare that are like, wait a minute, this program might not work. It's like, well, you're a recipient.
But funny enough, it was actually easy to cut through it.
Yeah.
So when we talked about it, I was like, tell me what you want in the world. That's how I started. Tell me what the world is that you believe you want to leave for your kids.
Yeah.
And you let them talk, and it's like, oh, well, I think that, yeah, of course I don't want my kids to have diabetes and not be able to afford insulin, right? We talk about that. It's like, well, what's stopping us from having it? Where sometimes you just have to deconstruct the propaganda. You got to deconstruct the programming that we've been through. Again, we don't always take the time to do that. Sometimes with the left, we're not patient enough with people. Right? We, just like it's easier to tear something down than to build something, it's easier to create an opt-out than an opt-in.
Yeah.
The reality is that we need more people. We need people to believe. We need people to drink the Kool-Aid, as it were, which means that we have to explain. Sometimes we think we don't got to do no explaining. I was like, I wanted them people to leave voting for Bernie Sanders, right? So I was like, I got to explain to them why they deserve Medicare for all, why they deserve a living wage, right?
Yes,
they deserve to be in their retirement, not living on a fixed income. Too many seniors are like, I live on a fixed income, and that's just the reality of things in America. So it's like, when I talk to people, it's like they have been trained to limit. The older you get, people say, oh, you get more conservative the older you get. That's not what's happening. You are having what you believe is the realm of possibility shrunk for you.
Yeah.
Life is shrinking your realm of possibility.
Yeah.
It's shrinking in and
your
shrinking.
Your
lived experience is shrinking in your realm of possibility.
Over and over again.
Imagine your lived experience in the political system.
Yeah.
Right? Generations of politics. You like, I came rah, 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 and here we are. So now you start to accept that better ain't possible. So now you're listening for better ain't possible, and you think that anybody who tells you that is lying to you. So it's our job, and we should take it on enthusiastically to say that, actually, here's why better is possible, because sometimes you just got to remind people where they started.
Yeah.
I reminded those old folk who I love where they started. I'm like, shit, if anybody knows that better is possible, it is you, because remember where you were? Right? Folks in my life born in the 40s.
There's just no way Bernie was able to communicate that, though.
He did not.
I don't think he was capable of
he did not.
communicating that.
But our next person like that does need to be capable of it.
Yeah, but that's also part of the reason why, representation also does matter quite a bit in this regard. Having a diverse, we are one of the most diverse countries on the planet. And a lot of people, I think, forget that oftentimes. And obviously with that comes friction, especially when we leave a lot of the dark chapters of our history unaddressed, and the wounds are still there, the economic inequalities are still there.
They exist.
And people don't even want to recognize it, and people want to even debate whether or not it exists, which is ridiculous. But outside of that, I think the positive aspect of that is that, by and large, Americans are also much more open-minded, especially if they do live in a diverse environment. Where they go, these are my neighbors. It's not an accident that cities. People. It's not an accident that cities are densely populated areas are more blue.
Or less xenophobic.
Or less xenophobic, or more blue in general. That's just a byproduct of being around people. Yeah. And it makes it much more difficult for you to believe what you see on TV about certain racialized stereotypes or certain things about like other people where you're like, no, I see these
You have
people
facts
every
to
day.
the
They're my
contrary.
neighbors. You humanize them.
Thinking about the left, I love the left. I'm very much a part of it. And I'm begging people, like, my blackness informs my politics.
Yeah.
Like, they are not separated. You know, my blackness informs my politics just as much as growing up working class poor. Working poor informs my politics. It's a part of me, but it's also a part of the language that I can speak. It's a part of like how I view the world. It is a perspective that is meaningful. I am begging people to not ask me to erase that, or to not expect me to erase that.
Yeah.
We are not gonna. We actually don't win that way.
Yeah.
We don't win by saying please suppress a part of yourself to be a part of this larger group.
Yeah.
Actually, like. We should be able to come. It's the reason why I was able to go and talk to, you know, I'm able to talk to the young cats on the block, you know, because they know me, because, you know, I've lived them. I speak their language. We don't all speak each other's languages. I don't speak everybody's language.
Yeah. Do you sometimes feel like you have to, obviously, no matter what happens, like, I guess, like, the term for it is code switching as well, but, like, you have to sometimes just, like, not raise the issue? Because this is something that I've been, like, I'm white, but I'm also Muslim. And I, post October 7, have basically had to walk this delicate tightrope of like, do I talk about, you know, how fucked up it is that someone's just like straight up calling me an Islamist fundamentalist terrorist or whatever, jihadist? Because if I do raise that issue, then that's all the conversation is going to be about. And then I do sometimes feel like I'm going to alienate folks that don't have that experience or can't even like personalize that experience at all. White people for the most part, white men for the most part, right? And that's primarily my audience. Yeah. So sometimes you just have to like eat it. Do you ever feel like that's a thing that you do in general?
I never want to lead people astray with this.
Yeah.
I have, I believe, lived a different existence than people. I had some little kids ask me, like, Summer, what's it like to be like the only black woman, you know, in a space? They're like business or whatever. And I was like, your teachers are gonna be really mad, but I'm gonna tell you, my rule that I made with myself is that I'm gonna never leave a room and be the only person uncomfortable. I just won't. And like that is my rule. So when it comes up to it, yeah, I will go in there and I'm the one who will drop the bomb. I'm the one, if someone is saying inappropriate things or they're like leaving out, you know, if they're leaving out or erasing, you know, a critical part of the narrative, I'm gonna go ahead and put it back in there. The elephant is standing there. Like, I cannot not see the elephant. And I'm not gonna keep staring at this elephant and everybody else is acting like it's not there. I gotta bring it up. And I also recognize that, right, I answer to my constituents. So I do have a responsibility to make sure that I'm explaining it in a way that they can grasp and that they can understand, but I do it. I talked about race on the doors. Like, I exist in the Western Pennsylvania. Yeah. You know, Western Pennsylvania is not like, it ain't the People's Republic of Pittsburgh. People think it is because I represent it, but it ain't. It is a majority white district. It's also a majority suburban district. Like the city of Pittsburgh, I have all the city of Pittsburgh. It is less than half of my district. I go into actual like exurban rural communities. So I represent
like communities that were literally designed around white flight.
Absolutely. Like, and beyond, and even beyond. Like I represent them once and then beyond. Like I represent, you know, areas that had not gone blue for quite a while. They're Trump areas. Like I got to go through Trump flags to get to people in my districts. You know, so I have an experience talking to people. So when I talk about race, I'm not talking about race coming from a majority minoritized district. I'm not. So it's a choice, and I do choose to do it, and I don't always, because you know what I say is I think your gauge should be you, not them. How do you feel on today? Like, do you feel like you have the energy to humanize yourself on today?
That's exactly that's what I try to explain to people. It's like it's sometimes good to take on the emotional labor. But you know you're not gonna feel up to it every single time.
And I try not to do it in a way that alienates people too. Like I could talk about race and also just not be excluding you. Like I think everybody has a perspective. So I could talk about race and I can also talk about the lived experiences of of poor white folk. And I talk about it passionately because I also want poor white folk to have and to inherit a better world. I want them to inherit a government that cares about them, that feeds them, that ensures they're fed at least, that ensures they're housed, that ensures they're healthy. I want that for them passionately. So, and I want it for me, right? And I want it for me. And my only understanding, I talk about race because I'm like, the reason we don't have it is because enough people don't want it for me. So I'm not your enemy. I'm not your problem.
One of the most relevant versions of what we're talking about, which was obviously like something that Lee Atwater famously spoke on, is the destruction of the welfare state as a mechanism to engage in anti-black politics. The notion that you move on from saying the N-word and then the aftermath of the civil rights struggle to basically talking about, desegregation or busing, all the way to the welfare queens narratives, right? Mm-hmm. That was so successful in terms of getting working poor people in white communities to get on board
to abhor something.
Yeah, with the destruction of a welfare structure that it was actually beneficial for them as well. And then, of course,
the same with affirmative action,
signed by Bill Clinton, a Democrat as well. But yeah, exactly, affirmative action too. And now we're seeing that happening with the shutdown and the SNAP benefits that were taken away from 42 million Americans.
And
have you seen the crazy stuff that's going on the internet, like with the AI videos?
Oh my God,
it's insane.
Aggressively avoid AI videos.
Okay, so
from Trump at least.
So there are Fox News went and covered, as though this was a real video, a collection of AI videos that we found with black women speaking to the camera, saying, "I have 7 children from 7 baby daddies."
Yes.
And the taxpayer needs to foot the bill. The notion of irresponsible and entitled about and angry. Mm-hmm. And they I could not believe it that they were just using AI videos.
I absolutely can believe it.
Well, I mean, I can believe it too, but it's still fucked up.
Do I believe that they will use racial animus to their end? But also, when you said that 42 million people are cut from SNAP benefits, and also farmers.
Yeah.
Because again, when we talk about the other what SNAP actually does is a subsidy. It is a subsidy to groceries, to small business, to farmers. It is helping two people. It is helping two groups at once. Right, working class people, but the reason why your government is giving it out is because it's also helping industry. Yeah, it's helping the economy.
And also
it spurs the economy.
Grocery stores.
Yes.
Yeah, every dollar spent on SNAP.
So Trump is willing to bite all of our noses off.
Yeah.
To spite his face.
And I cannot believe it because the conversation obviously that's taking place right now is over, offering additional or continuing subsidies for ACA, so tens of millions of Americans can continue being on health care.
To go to the doctor.
Yeah, to be able to go to the doctor. And the Republican...
To not get a $1,000 MRI.
The Republican retort to that was, oh yeah, you guys want health care for people to continue, even though it's already super costly and that needs to be fixed? Guess what? Now we're going to starve 42 million people, and it's going to.
So what you want? When you want healthcare, or you want to eat?
Yeah, they're like, oh, and now we're going to cook the farmers, like you said, because it's a subsidy for them, and we're going to cook the grocery store chains as well, because it's a subsidy for them as well.
And you know why they get away with it? Because there is a shared responsibility model that we have in this country, right? When a shutdown happens, everybody's blamed, and it's not like proportional blame. Republicans will always win in that environment. They will take.
But they're losing. They're losing right now.
When we're out of the authoritarian regime, that's the loss. That's the only loss that matters for me. But right now, what they are betting on, I'm not saying that they won't lose this time. What they are betting on is that when this is all said and done, they're going to get to share responsibility with the Democrats. Because there's always going to be a CNN anchor who says, well, Democrats didn't sign the bill to pay for SNAP. They're always going to say that instead of you guys are political commentators. You know what was in the bill.
Yeah.
You know what the bill did.
Yeah.
It's easier to tell that. So it's so now there's a shared model of responsibility. So instead of every day somebody's news anchor who is telling the truth, it is not partisan to go on TV and say that Donald Trump and Republicans want you to choose between health care and food.
Yeah.
It's not partisan to say that.
That's just the truth.
That's what they want right now. Do you want to starve or do you want to go to the doctor? You want to starve or you want some Tylenol? Right? That's just the truth. And they have convinced themselves that bipartisan means that they will dig if they can to find some blame to put on the other side. And in that model, Republicans get to win. I ain't saying that the win is necessarily you win a majority. They get to survive another day.
Yeah.
Because they don't ever have to take responsibility.
Yeah.
We need to pin them on responsibility. When we get out of here, it needs to be clear that they were willing to starve millions of people.
I will push back here though a little bit. Okay. I do think
I ain't saying the Democrats don't do nothing.
I do think that it is we go back to the same pre-existing hurdles. That always is going to exist. We can't change.
No, yes, we can.
No, I'm saying like, but in the current confines of like how this works, the media is always
The
going
limit
to do
does
that.
not exist. You never saw Mean Girls?
No, but no, I didn't. But what I'm trying to say is, it is upon the existing National Democratic Party to have competent voices.
Yes.
To go out and speak on it, and even do what you just did.
This is a yes
here.
and.
Yeah, of course. But what I mean is, like, what you just did, they should do on CNN. I think that also drives
And
clicks.
then the anchor is going to close, and then
Yeah.
he's going to go back and say, Democrats didn't vote to open the government.
But
That's what they go through every time.
But Republicans do that. But Republicans do that.
I ain't talking about Republicans. I'm talking about the anchor, like
No,
the media.
I know, but the Republicans have done that so successfully that, like, I think there are lessons to learn from the way that they operate, especially not being afraid to be adversarial with mainstream media.
I agree with that.
And of course, it's much better if you have like a very big outlet that is uncompromisingly pro-Democratic Party, which the Democrats don't really have. I guess you have MSNBC, but it's nothing in
Not even
comparison to
a little
Fox
bit.
News. Yeah, it's nowhere near as successful as Fox News, and also MSNBC, entirely comprised of former Bush era mouthpieces. That's the other crazy situation here. But basically, like, you do need to go out and fight. You do need to go on TV and be like, no, fuck that. This is wrong. This is what the Republicans are doing. And I don't think there's enough of that happening with this current talent pool that we have. There are people like yourself. There are young and vibrant, dynamic candidates. There are young and like, there are candidates who come from a working class background. There are politicians who want to fight and center the working class in their issues, in their messaging, and there are people who want to fight. But unfortunately, I think like
there are impediments, internal ones.
Yeah, the large section of Democrats that are the most visible, like the leadership of the party, they're not doing it.
So we got to choose right now. So back to, like, what will the Democratic Party be? Will it be? We have to choose. Even the Republicans, it relied on this at the end of the day. They became who they are because they were steered that way.
Yeah.
The Democratic Party will only survive and we will only be victorious if we exist in coalitions and new coalitions. The elected officials themselves is a small piece. And it has to actually, I'm not going to say it has to, like, the importance of it or at least the emphasis on it has to be counterbalanced. We are actually strongest when our electeds are reflective of our actual leaders, our movement leaders, our labor leaders, our media, our people. We have to, our job should be getting those folks and moving in a direction. But we will be successful when people are like, I actually feel a stake in this. The reason why the Democratic Party is dying, it's not a healthy party. The Democratic Party is not healthy.
Yeah, no.
And it is not healthy because we're not being honest. We are not being honest. People do not feel that this is the place to build.
Yeah.
They don't feel like this is the place that they want to make a home. And if we can't build a home here, the Republican Party ain't getting weaker. And I don't even care about the Republican Party. The right is not getting weaker. The fascist right, the white nationalist Christian folk are not getting.
They're so successful that they start infighting. Like, ironically enough,
they're infighting and still have not destroyed each other yet.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's always the unifying principle of deregulation. Like a deregulatory agenda and a tax cuts for the wealthy agenda is always going to be their North Star. And I don't think the Democrats have that same North Star in the opposite direction.
And they're trying to not even create a North Star.
Yes, and that's what's so frustrating. And that's what we go back to, which is like, if you are not defined by your values, if you are not definable by like easily identifiable, tangible policy line items that people can always go back to. Because this is the one thing that like Bernie did very well. Mm-hmm. You always know that's
why he blew up.
He is for healthcare for all. He's for free college. No matter what you throw his way, he's always going to stand on that. Yeah. Right? Sometimes maybe he engages in what my friends like to call vulgar Bernieism and go back and forth on immigration, things like that. But like, those are the definable traits of Bernie Sanders. Those are the definable policies of Bernie Sanders. And if the Democrats also had a similar system, I think that it would be much easier for them to get this message across.
Yes, it would be. When we get that, The day that we get that will be the day that the two-party duopoly no longer exists.
Yeah. No, for sure.
And that's just what it is.
Yeah.
It'll be that day.
I'm fine with letting the establishment Democrats be the right flank, like the marginal right flank in the one party system that we have, Chinese government style.
That's why I say our victory comes from coalition.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need a coalition style. We need a coalition style situation here because again, we're not the same. I am not the same as the most right wing, Democrats, in the sense that sometimes I'm not sure if our interests are going. I don't think we're going in the same direction.
No, it's not. No, that's you're absolutely right, and that is the major problem with the Democratic Party is that they want to present themselves aesthetically as though they're on our side. When they're campaigning, they want to act like they're on our side. They want to act like they're also invested in moving the country in a certain direction. But when it comes down to it, when it comes down to policy or when it comes down to like actual legislative agendas, they are not. They are, I would go so far as to say, antagonistic sometimes.
Yeah, there are some folks.
Like, there are definitely...
And the problem is that they get lifted up.
Yeah, but therein lies the problem because it is a liberal capitalist party.
We have convinced too many people that the tent is big enough for Joe Manchin, but it is not big enough for Zohran Mamdani.
Yes. The tent never expands on the left, and we have to always claw the party back and ironically enough, like create momentum at a time when the party's national recognition is at an all-time low. When people are just like, this sucks. You guys aren't doing anything.
Can I answer the question you didn't ask yet, just before we leave?
What?
Then why do we do it? Like, then why stay? Why stick around?
Yeah.
Why keep fighting for it?
Sure.
And I think that the reason is like...
I wasn't going to ask that.
I know you weren't. That's what I said.
Yeah.
Like, I asked the question that you were going to ask.
Because I know why you do. You have to. There's no other option.
It's true, but I want people to know that.
Okay,
because
go ahead.
I think that sometimes our people don't realize that. It's like, well, why do it? Why not just be independent? Like, I want the system to exist where we can have spaces that are ours. It don't exist right now.
Yeah.
I care enough about the values, the things that we're fighting for right now, that it is by any means necessary. People still have to be in the game. We still got to be in the game. And at the end of the day, what comes out of this, whether the party lives or doesn't, how it exists into the future is up to it, is up to us.
Yeah.
Whether it does or whether it does not, I still want people to be housed.
Yeah, also...
I still want us to stop dropping bombs on people.
And also, you're still going to be here. You know what I mean? Like, whether the Democrats exist or not, like, you still have the same issues. Someone has to address them.
But all of us do. So that's why I want us to, like, you can't opt out of the system, my friends.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of people who think that they're just, like, strategically and very wisely opting out. I'm like, baby, you are accounted for.
Yeah.
You are accounted for in this system, man. I got colleagues who talk about it. They count on you to think that you've opted out. They count on you to think that,
Exactly.
you are actually besting the system and not the system besting you. You're accounted for.
Yeah, always remember, if you can't maintain revolutionary optimism, you can also remind yourself of spite-based politics as well, because some of the worst forces of capital, some of the worst scumbags are relying on you not paying attention to what's going on and are excited at the prospect of being able to successfully disenfranchise you so that you just go, there's no hope. There's nothing I can do. And just think about those guys.
Do you have hope?
Of course. I mean, I always have hope because I don't know. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time and I've seen...
You're 34.
I've been a political commentator as like a openly socialist political commentator.
We're the gerontocracy now. We've been doing this shit for a long time.
Yeah, I know I'm like relatively young in comparison to all these other people, but like, it's just I've seen so much failure, and I'm used to it, and my expectation is not that we're just gonna immediately change things, and I think that comes with time. You learn that like. No, you are actually marginally moving society in a better direction by just consistently pushing on these certain things. And I think some of the most like hopeful moments that I've had, or some of the most like galvanizing moments that I've had, is like I have been an anti-Zionist for like an openly anti-Zionist in my professional media career for 12 years, and for 12 years. It was mostly looked at as like, what are you even talking about? Or looked at with disdain. There were so many things I was worried about actually saying, even though they were correct. Because I knew that the response from that would be, oh, you're going to get censored. You can't say that. That's unacceptable. And now, while the death toll is immeasurable, it's incalculable amounts of pain, But in spite of all of that, I've seen in my lifetime something I never thought would happen. And I think a lot of Palestinians I talk to have a similar attitude on this as well, where it's like they never thought that in such a comparatively short period of time, so many people became cognizant of this reality that like Israel was this unstoppable evil death force, basically. Like that was unheard of. So when I see that dramatic attitude shift in the broader consciousness of the West, from people who are basically conditioned not to care about this stuff at all under every different circumstance, when I see that attitude shift, I can't help but hold out hope that we can actually make people aware of these issues, and we can actually mobilize people in this direction, and we can actually make some change.
I share the exact same anecdote.
Yeah.
From when I started, it was like our number one thing that we were like, will we be able to talk about this with the fullness that it deserves and actually not be just like immediately like ushered off the stage and silenced? And yeah, the answer became yes, way quicker than I thought.
Yeah.
Way quicker than I thought.
Yeah, and I think like I'm critical of NGOs sometimes in the role they play in advancing American interests, American imperial interests. But like, I still recognize that 2021 was, I think, a pivotal moment for pro-Palestinian advocacy, when Amnesty International, when Human Rights Watch, and all these other organizations said, including B'Tselem, which is the Israeli human rights organization, said that Israel's an apartheid state. Israel was an apartheid state from the beginning, but they recognized it. And I think that expanded the permission boundary. Yeah. They expanded like what you could say, because you could always fall back to, well, these guys are, these are important, verified institutions that people care about. They have influence, and they're saying it, so you can't come at me for saying this as well. And slowly but surely
it gives protection
now,
so that when someone goes out alone, they
yes.
know that they're no longer going alone.
Yes, and then obviously in the last 2 years, the media environment is rapidly shifted as well, and a lot of the mainstream institutions that refused to accurately assess the situation or to speak on it, speak on the death and destruction with real terms, and consistently tried to contextualize this violence and why it had to happen and collateralize Palestinian lives, they were met with a lot of enmity.
People forced them to stop doing that.
Yeah, people were like, no, this is fucking bullshit.
People
like,
are
you're
not
lying.
unpowerful.
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly what is exactly what gives me hope, is that we do have a lot of power. We do have the opportunity to be able to stop things before it gets worse. And the same goes for resisting against the Trump administration's encroachments on civil liberties. And they are responsive to that sort of thing. They are responsive to this sort of pushback. And I think that's the reason why we can't stop. And we have to maintain revolutionary optimism and stay the course.
A message.
Yeah. Summer Lee, thank you so much. You were incredible. This was great. Why don't you do more TV stuff? Yeah.
Nah, hey, I talk when I have something to say.
We got a lot of media people in this chat. I'm sure you'll be getting.
That's what's up.
I'm sure. What?
Chad was loving that.
Yeah, I'm sure. There's gonna be hella people hitting you up after this. They're gonna be like, "Yo, come and."
Yeah, I love talking. Like a lot of people, I don't want to talk when I don't have anything to say.
There is so
Not
much.
that I have lots of things to say.
First of all, you are a yapper.
Period.
Like me.
Period.
Okay, this is the first time I've had.
Definitely, like when I get my diagnoses.
You love yapping.
I'm gonna get my diagnosis.
And you got the gift of gab.
I do.
So you're.
That's why I'm a congressperson.
Yeah. No, but not many Congress people are like that.
No, but I mean, like.
Yeah.
Everybody got the thing that got them here.
Yeah.
My power of talking got me here.
Yeah, you'd kill it on. Yeah, I mean, you are a weapon for the Democrats. I don't know if they realize it or not, but you are a weapon.
You should ask them.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking, but hey, it is what it is. But no, we're the fight. It is what it. Hey, whether somebody acknowledges our movement, whether they acknowledge what we are trying to build here, we're going to build it anyways.
Yeah.
And that's what gives me hope.
Absolutely.
It's ours to build.
It's also
what
a good
time
week.
to be alive.
It is also a good week to feel hope because I was like,
Yeah.
The Zoran stuff was huge. I'm not gonna lie. Like I never thought that it would happen.
We did it, Zoe. We're changing it.
Yeah.
It's not that we did it, Joe, anymore. We did it, Zoe.
We did it, Zoe.
We did it, Zoe.
It's right because like I just being surrounded by all these like canvas leads at the party, I was just like, man, this is it. This happened in spite of all of the endless amount of media coverage and how hyper scrutinized this campaign was, and you know this from your own personal experience. Like any point of marginalization is just so cynically weaponized against you, no matter what.
Especially these days, it's getting worse.
Yeah, you just have to. Because people are.
But listen, as a black woman, I have actually never seen the type of racism that I see when it is a Muslim candidate.
Yeah,
is astounding.
It's insane,
and it's because there are permission like people have still, even though they are off the hinges right now, a lot of people were still socialized that like you can't just outwardly say that. About black folks. They have never been socialized in the way to not approach Muslims and Muslim candidates in the way that they are. And like Democrats, Republicans, Independents, people were off the chains.
I think it's also because like white supremacy is such a fundamental part of American society, because I think about this all the time. Like I always say, like there is a permission threshold of permissible bigotry. Yeah. Right? Misogyny. Like there's a misogyny, anti-blackness, anti-trans behavior, and it swings, right? Mm-hmm. But anti-blackness is such a foundational, such a foundational part of American culture that like it's become, it's been imprinted into our culture in a way where like you can get away with saying things that are basically the same as like saying the N-word, but without saying it ever. Because if you were to say that, everyone goes, "Oh, that's fucked up."
I was literally going to say that racists really think that the N-word just impacts us. It's like, I care less about you saying the N-word and more about you using the system to oppress me. That's actually what I'm trying to say.
That's something that I try
Neither here nor there. Don't say it to me.
Well, people also
don't say it to a black person either.
No. White people think it's just a mean word. That's the problem. They don't understand that like it's
our problem is actually the history behind it, right?
It's not like, oh, well, you can say cracker, but I can't say the N-word. It's like, well, there's no.
You can also eat a cracker. Like, what are we talking about here?
There's no systematic oppression or continued oppression associated with like anti-whiteness on the virtue of whiteness. This is why it's not the same. But it's very difficult to explain that to people. But yeah. All right. Well, I don't want to take more of your time.
I hope that your Capitol tour lived up. The Capitol.
Yes. No, this is dope. You guys have higher ceilings than I thought you would.
Cannon has higher ceilings than this.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And
Longworth is a cave. Don't go to Longworth.
Of course. Sitting or standing?
Let's do sitting and standing.
Okay. Let's do both.
Let me move this over. Sure.
This is a comfy couch. It's more comfy than I thought it was going to be.
Lore, this is Nancy Pelosi's old couch.
No. No.
I didn't even mention it. This is Nancy Pelosi's old couch.
Okay.
You look dapper.
Oh, thank you. I dressed up for you. I dressed up for
meanwhile,
Congress.
I wore jeans for you.
No, it's all good.
Also, I'm off though.
I never really wear suits or jackets or anything like that. So I was like, you know what? We're going to DC. We might as well this time
do
around.
it.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for opening.
Great. Yeah.
One more ask.
What's up?
Do you want to do it direct to camera?
Oh, these people want me to do it direct to camera.
We love it direct to camera.
What do you?
She has more to say.
Well, do I?
Yeah. No, listen to them. They're right.
Yeah. No, they want me to do it about the shutdown.
About the shutdown. Yeah. If you want to just cameo, you're welcome.
You want to cameo?
Too. Yeah.
Hold on. I'm like, hey team, where you running from? Now y'all don't want to be in it.
Yeah, just like it's day 37 of the government shutdown. I'm here with Hasan Piker, showing around the Capitol. Yeah.
Okay. I still have to turn over. Hey guys, it is day 37 of the shutdown. We are now in the longest shutdown ever, but spoiler alert, I'm actually here with Hasan Piker because I was giving him a tour of the Capitol.
Yeah.
But because it is in the shutdown, the Capitol was largely empty. There's not too much activity
Probably
going
better.
on.
Probably better that way. But they need to get back to work.
And that's what the hope is, right? We know that right now, right? Republicans are crushing people. They're crushing working class people, making folks choose between their paychecks, between eating, between SNAP benefits, between LIHEAP, right, is cruel. And that is a false option. What we're arguing for is that, yeah, we absolutely can open this government right now. And we do not have to sacrifice people's health care or their food. So we want people to recognize that as we talk about this, we can have it all. And we have to reject any narrative that tells us that working people have to choose, that working people have to choose between one struggle or another. Our government is here to serve those needs. And this shutdown is fundamentally about that. So we just want you to stay tuned. We wanted to just come in with this update that we have broken a record, and it's not a good one.
Yeah.
That this
Get back
is
here,
now
Mike Johnson. People have to keep going to work even when they're not getting paid. How come you're not here?
And that's the message.